Strips stop erosion along riverbanks and help keep the water clean, and conservation trees bring beauty and wildlife close by. Plant conservation trees for your farm, family, and future. For your free booklet, write Conservation Trees, the National Arbor Day Foundation, Nebraska City, Nebraska.
Plant a tree today for all the world to share.
You're listening to WHPK, Chicago 88.5 FM, the pride of the South Side.
I'm Rhea.
I'm Leia.
And this is our show called
Finders Keepers. We came up with a name. Actually, Rhea came up with a name pretty recently. I wasn't given credit, but yeah.
Yeah, essentially, we just want to find songs that people love and ask them why they keep them around. And today, we have a very special guest who's going to show us some songs, probably 3. And do you want to introduce yourself? Wait. Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's on. Don't worry.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Pedro. And yeah, I have some songs for you all today. Mostly chill ambient music.
Cool. Awesome. So we're going to play the first song. Do you want to introduce it?
Sure. The song's called Midway by Tuma. And yeah.
I need the aux cord.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to WHPK, Chicago 88.5 FM, the pride of the South Side. I'm Leia.
I'm Ria, and our special guest is...
Pedro.
And we just played...
Midway by Scott Tuma.
Okay, amazing.
Okay, so, why'd you choose this song as your first song? And do you want to give us like a little intro where you found it?
Okay, yeah, of course. So, I chose this song because, especially around this time, we're all in finals here at the school. I listen to a lot of ambient music for like studying and reading and so on. I think in the last like few years that has like by far become what I play the most and listen to the most. This song was shown to me by my friend Roland, who has a band. I don't know if you'll know him. My Guitar's Trying to Kill Me. Really good. Yeah, he makes shoegaze, but it's really into ambient. His friend Renee from home has this radio show in, I think, NYU called Cosmic Cowboy, where
That's a good name.
yeah, he plays like ambient folk and ambient country and things that are kind of related to this sound. So I think that's how Roland found it, if I remember well. It's from a Chicago-based artist called Scott Tuma. He was in some bands and so on, but I don't know where he's most known from. But the song's named Midway, and Roland was like, yeah, this song is about the Midway, which I assume is true, because when I listen to it, and this is partly why I picked it, I always think of this like kind of like festive vibe, or like remembering like a carnival, or like I guess the World's Fair and so on. So I always think of like Chicago in 1893 and the Ferris wheel and like the whole like Columbian Exposition when I listen to this. And really, yeah, I think that's largely why I'm into it.
Oh, I didn't like initially think about that, because like to me, I don't know, it's like it sounds to me like it has a happy tune, but there's also this like the way that it's slowed down and the way that it's so gentle makes it a lot more melancholy, or like kind of sad in this way that I really enjoyed. Yeah,
exactly. I really resonate with that type of music. It's like a happy melody, but like really like kind of slowed down and like repeated to the point where it's kind of just like a mantra, or like how in memories you kind of just remember like certain specific moments that you play again and again. So it has this like sad vibe, and I feel like even when I just think of the World's Fair, like outside the context of this song, I think of that sort of melancholy, because it's like based on this idea of like progress and civilization that kind of didn't really like amount to that much that was good.
Hello. Yeah, absolutely. We have another special guest in the studio, Ruby.
It's Ruby.
No, I was gonna say, like, it being named the Midway also makes a lot of sense to me, because, like, when I think about this song, I do think about like the sun, but like the Chicago sun, as somebody coming from like a very sunny place like California, it's like a lot more mellow, and like when the sun is like shining, when we do get sun, especially during the winter times, it's much more, it's not necessarily like a happy glow, and it is much more of like a mellow one, and the sky is usually pretty clear, and it's like more of an orange than it is like a yellow, which is like we were talking about synesthesia last week with Miles, and so I'm thinking about colors in relations to songs, and that is one thing I did notice. It also, people might kill me, but it kind of sounds like that one song that blew up on TikTok. That guy that plays the piano, and it went really viral, and he started playing it for like his music teacher. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure. Do you know?
Wait, I think I know what you're talking about. It's like one thing that he wrote.
Yeah. Oh my God! No, it's literally Golden Hour.
Wait, I don't know. Maybe that.
You're my golden.
Definitely not what I was thinking of. But.
Okay. Anyways, it's not like whatever. It's a song that's on TikTok, and it reminds me of that. Just like the chords that play underneath it. And I thought it was very fitting, it being called Midway.
Are you from near the coast in California?
Yeah, I'm from LA.
Yeah, that's cool. I like. It happens a lot. One of my best friends here, Julian, he's from San Diego.
Yeah.
And we always go to the point to watch the sunset, and we get there, and he's like, "What? Like, where's the sunset?"
Yeah.
Yeah. And you kind of have to look back, or you have to be on the midway to really see like the beauty of the sunset. You can't really be anywhere else.
Yeah, that's
You
so
have to
true.
have like a kind of like a white street, and then there's kind of a melancholy in that.
Yeah, and I no, so wait, continue.
Yeah,
finish your
that's all.
thought.
Because the sunset would be so beautiful here. I think I just never really get to see it.
No, you have to like check the weather for when it's like, because like one time, like I've been a bunch of times to the point where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see the sunset. It's just cloudy and like sad and gray.
Yeah.
Actually, this week I went a bunch of times.
But that also makes so much sense because, like, obviously, like, the sunset's in the west, and, like, on the west coast, you're gonna see that when you're looking at the
Yeah.
ocean.
Yeah.
But in
exactly.
Chicago, the sun
No.
sets into the city.
Yeah.
Rather than, like, the lake, which is, whoa.
No, but I mean that's
I'd,
still
like,
really beautiful.
I'm really bad with cardinal
And it's-
directions,
yeah.
so I'm impressed with myself for knowing that.
No, also I feel like just thinking like yeah, that idea of like this walking across the midway and like seeing the sun go down in that other direction. I don't know, I feel like the song itself, it does feel like a really slow walk, or like it
Yeah.
feels like you can just like
saunter.
it's like a little saunter, which I don't normally get up to because I'm always like on the move. But like I don't know, the midway is really beautiful, and I feel like I don't like often stop and like I don't know,
Yeah.
because it's just like this. It just reminds me of like going back and forth between classes.
It's just a path.
And it's just a path, but it's also like I don't know, such a central part of our experience here, or my experience here at least.
Yeah.
Now. We switched because
Yeah, we did switch. I live
she's in
north now.
Snitchcock now. I used to be in
Oh, that makes
Snitchcock,
sense.
but now I live south, so it's like
So you cross it like every day.
yeah.
Yeah. I always think of that too, like a slow walk, like maybe kind of just like, you know, like seeing the expositions and so on, like as
Yeah.
a child just walking one way or the and the other, kind
Yeah.
of, yeah. And it's also like it has changed a lot in significance for me because I also used to cross it every day a couple of years ago because I lived just south. And it is like a very beautiful park and has like does have kind of like a spiritual dimension where it just traces this line that's like a big divide in vibes too, and just kind
Yeah.
of geometrically it's different to most parks because it's just like so like elongated one way and it's kind of narrow the other. Yeah, which I really like.
And it also, like, it feels so... Like, what... Leia and I had a snow day on the Midway once.
Oh my
and
God.
that was... And I forget about, like, having those experiences on the Midway because it is just, like, a path for us. Like, it is just, like, a channel that we walk through. Whereas, like, for so many people, like, you see kids playing soccer there, like, every day. And it is, like, a community space. And it means a lot to so many people. I mean, the jazz festival is held there. You were
Yeah.
talking about, like, the carnival. Like, it's a big public space that, like, we forget about because we're just students that
Yeah.
live on either side of it. But it's really important. I had a question for you, though. And... sorry.
No, don't worry, don't worry. I want to
Um,
make sure they can hear us.
Like, I don't know what, like, usually draws you to, like, this sort of song or like, this artist, but, like, why do you listen to this artist specifically, or this song if it was, like, shown to you? And, like, because one thing I noticed a lot was, like, the piano, but, like, that's just me because I was just thinking about the chords and also the guitar strums. But, like, what's something that, like, when you listen to this song makes it that, like, melancholy or, like, mellow feel?
Yeah, that's a good question because I feel like a lot of this type of music follows the same formula, which is like this repeated riff over and over again with like maybe piano in the background
Yeah.
or something like that, until like slow down. So what marks the difference between like this song and like some other like ambient folk song or some other songs on the same record, it is kind of really intangible and hard to figure out. It has to be like, does this specific melody like resonate with me? And I don't know if I know enough about music to like
No.
spot out the specific things. I like that this has two sections which are like that kind of like switch around which one is just the riff, and then there's a even more mellow part.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can pinpoint it,
No,
but
yeah.
it kind of like stops and the melody changes.
Yeah.
And then it kind of picks back up, and that's similar to what the ending is. And I think a big part with this type of music for me is also just like personal associations of like, well, I was in this part of life when I got into this song,
Yeah.
or like this person showed me this song. So it meant a lot that Roland showed me this song. I feel like he moved across the Midway to live with me back in our first year, because my roommate left after our first quarter. My original roommate, he took a leave of absence, and I had like a dingle for so like a double room, but just by myself for like half of winter quarter. I put the beds together.
I did the same thing my first year.
That's what my friend did last year.
It's kind of nice. It was really nice for a few weeks. Then I started to go insane, because it was like my first winter. I had never seen the snow before, and I was just like freezing and like staying in bed. I got really sick too at some point.
First year, my God.
Yeah, but then Roland moved in, and it was nice. He has a song. I don't think he's ever put it out, because he doesn't put out his songs.
Come on,
But
Roland.
yeah, I know. But it's called Across the Midway, and he wrote it because his girlfriend lived south of the Midway back then.
That's so
yeah,
funny.
and it's also it kind of reads the lyrics as if he's talking about like seeing like divinity or like something transcendent across the Midway, which kind of ties into all this. But yeah, I don't know why exactly this song. I think the repetitiousness is something that I do look for in a lot of music, which is also why I like dance music. I feel like music's too often criticized for being repetitive.
Yeah.
But for me, that kind of lets you more viscerally experience the song on first listen, because with less repetitive music, if you want to kind of understand and dissect each of its parts, you have to listen to it many times, or even like read about it. With even with classical music, which oftentimes has like this like theme and variation structure, which is like repetitive, I still find it like all the variations still kind of make it like hard for me to grasp like easily. But with like minimalism or like this type of music, or with techno, it's like if we have 4 bars and then the same 4 bars and the same 4 bars, and just things slowly build up, it means I can kind of on one go like focus on this element of the song, then another one, and then another one, and then kind of have a whole picture within like one listen or a few listens, and like that helps you really enjoy it. Yeah, I don't know if that means I'm like slow or something.
No, that's great.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think it's also something we talk about a lot on this show. Like, we talk a lot about how, like, catchy music nowadays is so criticized. And, like, a lot of, like, folk indie music nowadays is, like, there's no chorus, you know?
Yeah.
And I can see how, like, that translates to classical and even techno music, which I think is, like, a cool, like, thing that you brought them both up in, like, the same context. Like, repetitiveness is, like, works for a reason in people's ears. And, like, you do get to focus on every different part of the song. Like, only because I was listening to the same thing, like, 100 times in Midway, did I realize that, like, oh my god, like, the strums are becoming not chords, they're becoming slower.
There's like a
successive
slow
notes.
change,
and like that's like so wonderful. Like, also it means that you can play a song on loop every time and find something new, because you're like, unless you're maybe a musical genius, you're not gonna be able to listen to every single instrument being played or every component of the song at the same time with your ears. Like, you can only focus your attention on so much, and it kind of, I don't know, this song makes me, like, really appreciate, like, the musicianship behind these simple songs, because simple, I don't like using that word, but, like, I am, like, this is complicated.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know?
What I was thinking of, it really reminded me in some ways of our show with Michael Clancy.
Yeah.
He played
River Sligo Blues.
Sligo River Blues.
That
I don't know if you know that.
I do not.
It's by John Fahey, so he's like this, well, I'm just like using what Michael told me and like putting it back out there. But so he's like this folk artist who does this, well, he's like self-defined as like American primitivism, and so it's like sort of like an avant-garde like take on folk music. So it's like both, I don't know, tradition and modernity kind of merging. But like to like, I don't know, to like my ears and your ears, like it just sounds like folk. But it's just the same exact really slow like guitar melody over and over again.
And it's instrumental and it's like very ambient.
Yeah,
That's
and
what
he adds like slowly but surely, like it's like 7 minutes long, I don't know, it's pretty long, and he starts to add really small elements, and then your ear is just waiting for something to happen so you notice it more. And I like kind of immediately thought of that song when I heard this one, and it's just really interesting that there's a connection between like, I don't know, this ambient song and this folk song from like the 60s.
Yeah, I wonder how much of this like kind of like ambient folk thing is like influenced by American primitivism, because there's kind of like a temporal gap, because I feel like this type of music was starting to be made in like the late 80s, but primitivism's from like 60s, right? And
Yeah.
I've mostly heard about John Fahey. I don't know any other artist really, but
Neither do I.
Yeah. But yeah, I do wonder, because I also don't know how much of like this type of music can be called like given like a name or like or be treated as a movement. I mean, I call it ambient folk, but that's just because it's ambient and folk, and I don't really know how much of a scene there was or how like kind of like cohesive all these artists were when working together.
I think it's kind of nice when you can't really like assign a name to it, you know? It's kind of just like, okay, we can call it music. And like that can mean different things to different people, but that also is a sign like somebody's kind of doing something completely their own, you know? We're talking about like repetitiveness and stuff, but and you even like spoke of a formula, but we can't really like assign it to anything, any genre, and so it is kind of just like, okay, that's Scott Tuma's music. like that's the only way you can really describe it. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I feel like you did kind of answer. We always ask the same question at the end, or at the end of one song, which is like, why do you keep coming back to it? I feel like you did answer that in some ways, but if you have any more thoughts on that, or we can go on to the next song, whatever.
Let me think. I would say, I guess I talked about why I keep coming back to it. I think, I want to have something that was like at least like tangentially Chicago related. I thought about having all the songs be about like the Midway or Chicago to some extent. There's that Sufjan song called "Come on Feel Illinois," which is all about the World's Fair as well, and kind of also about the failure of progress. But I ended up choosing some other songs. There's this Alex G soundtrack to a movie called We're All Going to the World's Fair, which is like a weird, like horror-ish movie. But it has like an ambient folk sound as well, which is cool. But yeah, I feel like we can move on to the next song, probably.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's something that's very similar sounding, a little bit. Kind of. We'll see. Yeah.
No worries, yeah.
Okay, the second song. If you want to, I mean, we can just say the title afterwards.
Yeah.
Or right now.
The title's called Loving Spoonful, and it's by an artist named World Standard.
Cool. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
What do you got for us on this song?
Okay, so this is something that kind of, I guess it's less like hazy and dreamy, and more kind of like clear guitar than the last song. It also has those like crickets and like the more like fan sound like elements, but it kind of is the same formula again, the repeated guitar going on. What I found interesting and made me want to include it was, well, at first I like the song, but also this is from a Japanese artist, but the whole album is the album's called Country Gazette, and it has this like Western United States feeling to it. It's very the last track is called like Cowboys Don't Die, and it's like a reading in like this thick Japanese accent of like a Hank Williams song. Very dramatic and and the whole thing is kind of this like exotic view of like the West and kind of cowboys, and has this like country sound to it, while also being ambient, which I like.
Yeah, no, you said it was very similar to the other song, but I felt like it was really different. I don't know, especially in the moment where like the pauses I found really
Oh
nice.
my god, fake outs.
The pauses, the fake outs where we were about to turn off the music or turn off the mic, and the moment, I don't know exactly how to articulate this, but like the moment where it like there's like this rise, like it changes from like bum ba da da da, and then it goes up and then down and then up,
Yeah.
and then instead of resolving there's the pause,
Oh my
and
God,
then it
yeah.
goes back. That was like, I don't know, really like back to that idea of like paying attention to the small changes more when something is really stripped back. Yeah, that's what I felt with this song. I don't know, I really enjoyed that part.
No, I agree. I think it like told a story from like start to finish.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And I think that the story that it told, like, you're so right. It's like I could hear like the country in it, because like I was thinking about, let's see, guys, it's the first time I've had to write 2 pages
Wow.
of notes. Like I wrote lullaby.
That's
So-
what I was thinking. That was my first thought,
You
actually.
know, like
Yeah.
it feels
Exactly
like
my
a mobile
first thought.
spinning above like a baby's room, and so like I'm thinking about like a home, like 1950s baby new couple move into a house, maybe in the countryside, and like it's a montage at the end of a Disney movie, and like and it's the ending of the movie, and it's like these 2 people 10 years later have a child, and and they're living their lives, and it's like it's hard at first, and they're learning how to be a mother and a father, and then we get the pause, and at the very end it's them like feeding a spoonful of food to their baby, and everything is good and well, and you see that glow that you see on the midway with the sun and the orange, and it's like that's the color, that's the feeling that it is, and it was just like, I was like, damn, like animated baby in my mind right now, like that is who this lullaby is being sung to. And kind Country Gazette is such a funny name for the album, but it makes so much sense. It's like classic Americana, like the American dream, like very much. I mean, it's weird because I'm thinking, when I think about these memories and what I'm looking at, it's like all white people.
Yeah.
And it's like white animations. But yeah, I think it feels, you said it's like less hazy and dreamy. And I would agree, because it feels much more like a real story, like realistic, and less like introspective and more just like describing something that you would see out in the real world. But so interesting that this album is called Country Gazette. Okay, that's my theory on this song.
I can't believe you made up an entire Disney movie in your head. Well, no, but that's fair. I did think Lullaby. That was my
swear
first,
it exists.
Or like, oh, it exists?
No, I swear the movie
It's a real thing that we just haven't tapped into yet? Okay. We'll make it. I think the three of us can make it.
I'll find a white baby to film. But yeah, also like the dish, like it felt like dishes were clattering, and there was also like a little rattle of like, you know, one of those like instruments.
No, I
and the crickets. It felt all like very like sounds
natural.
captured from home.
No, that's what I liked about it. It didn't feel like there was it was like the insertion of like a clip into something, or it didn't feel like a sample or something. It was just like, oh, that's just what's happening in the background.
Yeah.
That's just like,
exactly.
We didn't mean to pick that up, but like that's what happened, and I think that's what sort of adds to the realism of the song, or makes it feel like a lullaby, because like someone is doing that for you in real time, and there's other things happening outside of that, and that makes it very meditative, I think.
Like the true definition of ambient, like that's the actual ambiance of
Yeah.
life, you know,
Yeah.
and they just put that in the song rather than creating it. Sorry, that was a lot of me talking.
No, that was good. That's so insightful. I think that's part of something that I didn't think about before, but that like with the even with the title and like the song, it's all like so friendly, and it's not like it's West, but not Wild West, but more like this West that is like well into the process of being like settled.
Yeah.
And
That's a good word, settled.
Even it's like very domestic, and even the record cover, which is not something I can show, but like physically, but
Oh,
if you guys
absolutely.
Oh, totally.
there's like this cute car with like, I guess I don't know if it's a taxi or just a normal car. I think
It
it's
could
just
be either, yeah.
could be both, but there's this like guy in the front and then someone in the back, and could very well be a family, and then there's this like mostly wild landscape in the back, and the title and the words are all in this like Old West font, and it even says World Standard Discover America Series Volume 1, featuring Harry Hosono, Larry Campbell, and Mina. I don't know if the features are true, but this is not part of any Discover America series. Like,
Okay.
and it's just all surrounded with like stars, and like there's a very specific aesthetic being maintained, but then there's also like a house in the background in the left. So this is something that's more like domestic.
Yeah.
Than
World
just like
Standard
being
is a
cowboys.
crazy thing to put on there.
To call yourself.
When it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
No, I mean that sort of makes it feel like Ria's like animation is spot on. Like you're like imagining
definitely.
this like idealized, unsettled landscape that can be, I don't know, can be shaped to whatever this, I don't know, this Western view wants it to be, or like whatever. I don't know, it feels kind of like a like absurdism, or like it's trying to I don't know, make fun of, or not make fun of, but like uncover or like, I don't know, see the, maybe criticize. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, it's almost sappy, and it kind of has this like overly simplistic view of like, as you said, the American dream and so on, and there's this like racial and national component, which part of why I find this so interesting is that it's made by a Japanese artist. So if you think of like what people call new age music or world music, which is often this like ambient music that is very strongly tinted with a cultural character of what a Western audience imagines a certain place to sound like or to feel like. So artists like Stefan Mikos or even like John Hassel like that do this type of like, Hassel called it fourth world music, what he did. And it's supposed to be, I pulled it up because I think it's like interesting and kind of ties into this, but it's a unified primitive / futuristic sound combining features of world ethnic styles with advanced electronic techniques. So it kind of ranges from like this type of like kind of like more like pretentious, if you want to call it that, like art ambient music, to like new age, like 40 songs for like relaxing or sleeping or playing to your baby type. But a lot of it is playing to like kind of exoticized visions of non-Western cultures.
Yeah.
And I find it like really interesting that this is kind of the same, but from in the opposite way.
Yeah.
No, that's so interesting.
For the Western culture.
Yeah, even the album cover, the actual like painting kind of has like a I don't know, like this doesn't seem like traditional American art, like this part, the family in the car.
Even the style of like how the people are drawn feels very like, again, animated. Like they look like animated characters.
So it's like this kind of vision of the West as a foreign exotic place.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
No, it's like taking the formula that exoticizes and then turning it on its head.
Yeah.
And doing the same thing, but like pointing out, I don't know, how hypocritical or absurd the opposite is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also go ahead.
No, mostly that. Yeah, like I wonder how much. I really want to know, because it could go both ways. Like, is the artist doing this like consciously, or is the actual just like phenomenon of like perceiving a culture and kind of unintentionally misrepresenting it being what's going on here? Like, I have no clue.
Yeah.
Like, because it's almost sappy, like the sound of this song.
Yeah, I agree. And it's also very like I would say like fantastical. Also, looking at actually that's a different thought. But when I say fantastical, I mean like, you know, we're talking about the lullaby. I'm still on the movie. But it also like, you're saying like it's an exoticized version. Like it's not real. Like in a way, like it's the perfect depiction of like a nuclear family, and that is kind of like the image of like Western, like mid 1900s America that was like pushed out to like the world or the public of like what it's like to live in the US. And like even and the album art is like they're smiling in the photo and they're going like across the country, and that is an aspect of travel that I think is interesting, that you also picked the Midway for the first song, because like like hundreds of people, thousands of people travel through the Midway every day, but it's also a place where like people who live in Hyde Park, like they feel very settled there too. Like they feel very settled on the Midway. That's their home. And it's like, I don't know, both songs kind of have this aspect of like moving through a place and another group that's maybe like native to that place feeling very settled there. But in this song it kind of switches it, where it's like these people are moving to a place that they're not native to and like having this image of settledness, which is kind of funny and probably also a criticism. I'd like to believe it's a criticism.
And also like going back to the Midway song, the way that you were talking about like the World's Fair, and then how that sort of commodified and took on like all these other cultures and presented like a mini version of them to obviously a very Western audience. I think that's a great connection.
Yeah, totally. Even with the Midway, as you say, there's this not just movement across the Midway, but like this migration, or like fake migration to the Midway, and then also the fact that it's named the World's Columbian Exposition. It's really making a reference to like, you know, Columbus and like this idea of America that is not that different from what we see in this other song, I would say. So there's yeah, in both cases, there's this kind of looking back at certain like ideologies, I guess, that are very optimistic,
Yeah.
and expressing a certain, at least with Midway, I feel a certain sadness at their kind of darker or failed side.
Yeah. This song is almost like a cover up of the Midway.
Yeah, that,
You know, almost like a response, but like it's not sad. It's actually so happy.
No, but it's like so happy
It's,
that
like,
it's like,
so
ooh, there's
happy.
something with
something
that.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just think it's interesting how like with both of these songs, the title or the album title really like adds a layer of meaning that I don't know you wouldn't have just hearing the song, but then you listen to the song back again and you hear the sounds and you're like, wait, that actually makes sense with the concept itself. And I feel like the same goes for a lot of kinds of art, but like here especially,
Yeah.
I noticed that.
yeah, that's a big thing in ambient music, I feel. Like, because there's so little in the actual music oftentimes to kind of color what you feel and experience. I feel like album art and like album titles and track titles become so important. I could read some of the track titles of this record because they're all like funny, just like random like American sounding words thrown together, kind of.
The same way that Americans throw other languages or like get tattoos of it's like
Yeah.
the same
If I can find it, which
And this one's called Loving a Spoonful.
yes.
Okay.
There's one called Good Red Road. The Lonely Driver 1952.
Oh my god.
Country Sad Ballad Man.
That
that's
is great.
good.
That one is just
Country
satire.
Sad Ballad Man is so good.
Billy's Strange Country.
Wow.
Wait, Billy Strings?
Strange.
Oh,
Billy?
Billy. Oh,
Billy.
there's a...
Billy
Yeah.
Fringe.
I thought it was Billy Strings, who's a country artist.
Oh,
I know.
that would-
Oh, but it
Maybe
might
it's a
be
play on him.
I don't
a play in that name. Yeah. There's one. Cowboys Don't Cry, Hank Williams Lost Lyrics.
That's really good.
Montage Lonesome Hoboland. Yeah.
Wait, they literally just put up Americana into Google, like,
And then
and
they
put it
did
into like a word
shuffle.
generator.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's so good.
Oh my god. Wait, that really solidifies my stance that this is satire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like it's definitely
It's
a criticism.
definitely-
Are you kidding? Also, when we were talking about the cover art again, what you were saying, like if you look at the cover art, like the actual landscape besides the car, like the car and the people are like the brightest like colors, and then the rest of it is so dark. Like it literally looks kind of scary. I don't know if you've ever seen the show like Courage and the Cowardly Dog.
What?
I have not, but I've seen like images. I know like the aesthetic
and it's
vibe.
really, it's kind of like that. Like it's kind of like eerie and dark, and then the yellow is like
Yeah.
in such contrast to it, which is kind of like, okay, like we are definitely painting like a more hopeful and what you were saying optimistic picture than like what it actually is.
Yeah, that's true. And there's even a UFO, which I had not
my
noticed before in the
God.
cover. Or I don't know if it's like
That's
the
great.
planet.
No,
but-
that's a UFO.
Yeah, that's like a flying saucer,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Because where else
So-
would a flying saucer be but like the Nevada desert or wherever?
Yeah. It's so like 50s
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah.
Wait, based on what you were saying about the other songs, like I feel like actually like this song title is relatively tame. Right? Like Loving
Oh,
a
yeah.
Spoonful.
That's kind
Yeah.
of more. Yeah, some are pretty absurd.
Yeah, no.
Those are pretty absurd. I want like what do you think about the title?
I very much agree with your like vision of like feeding a baby. That seems to be, but it also doesn't fully make sense,
Yeah,
which I like.
exactly.
Um,
Nonsensical.
the spoonfuls themselves like are a spoon. Yeah, I cannot see how a spoonful would be loving.
Yeah.
Um,
All I can think about is like a spoonful of sugar,
Also,
like from Mary Poppins.
Isn't there a group from the 60s called the Loving Spoonful?
Really?
oh, is there?
Yeah, they're definitely, or it's either a song or a group. I can't remember. I think it's a group.
Wait, that's awesome.
That's what I was thinking of. I was like, oh, it's a riff off of that, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I had no. That
Yeah,
would
the
change
Loving
everything.
Spoonful.
Oh.
What is it called?
The Loving Spoonful.
Oh my god.
It's like a 60s group.
Yeah, I had no clue about this.
Wait, I
I didn't do my research.
no.
No, I just knew it from like, I don't know.
It's a folk rock band. So,
Yeah, so
yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Oh,
And
okay.
they're like these.
Wait, I wonder what they would think about this song. That's
No,
crazy.
they're like I don't know, a bunch of white guys.
Wait, that is such a good fact to have in your brain.
Yeah, because I was like, oh,
That
I
was
thought
for
they were.
this very moment.
I don't know why I like saved it until now, but I was like, yeah.
Do you have any other things that you really want to say about this song?
No, not particularly. I think we could move on. I mean, I don't need to play the third song either. I was just like, I'll have 2 or 3. But
Yeah.
yeah,
We can, though.
we can.
Yeah,
we
we
can
have
play the
time.
third. Yeah.
We definitely have time.
Shorter commentary, but still time.
Should we play another PSA?
Oh yeah, sure. We'll be right back.
To the north, part of that country I'm swimming to. 'Cause where you've been, I go, that's where you always go. I'm banging on your door, up in the big blue sky. When you let the water in, when you let the water in, when you let the water in on the side of town. When you let the water in, when you let the water in on the senator. Oh yeah, I'm on the dot. I'm on the senator.
Okay. We couldn't play a PSA, but we're back with our third song from Pedro. And this is, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to WHPK, Chicago 88.5 FM, the pride of the South Side.
I'm Ria,
I'm Leia.
and this is Finders
Finders
Keepers
Keepers.
with our special guest.
Pedro Bernal.
Yeah! Okay, what do you got for us on this
Tell us
song?
about this last song. We only have 9 minutes, unfortunately, but we want to hear everything.
No, that's perfect.
It's a short song, too.
Yeah,
so
it's a short
perfect.
song for a short time. So this is called Let's Go Swimming by Arthur Russell. It's the last song of this record, and it's also my favorite. I'm playing it because it has the same kind of like minimalist, like repeated vibe as the other songs, but also has a little bit of a full character, but it's also like so different, and it's like cello shoegaze from the 80s, which I just think it's insane. I'm just really into it. So I thought it was like still like ambient enough to kind of apply or follow the theme, but also maybe more like fun or attention grabbing. and more to talk about. His voice is so nice. Yeah, it's just charming.
Yeah, I feel like we talk a lot, or Rhea and I have talked a lot about when vocals like function as instruments, or when they kind of
totally
fade, or they, I don't know, have a relationship to instruments that's really similar, and it's not like they kind of emerge out of it.
Yeah.
So they emphasize like the background more, and I feel like this is a really good example of that. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, like, I didn't understand a single word he said.
Yeah, I
so,
never do with him.
No, and so that was so fine with me. I was like, I don't think he cares about us hearing the word, actually. But his voice was definitely just like, it just felt like another instrument. There was very little of his voice, which I thought was really nice, because I felt like my attention was grabbed right away by the instruments anyway in the beginning. But I wonder what's called Let's Go Swimming. You even just saying like, yeah, short song for a short time. Like, I'm like, yeah, like Let's Go Swimming is such a direct like ask. Like, there's no interpretation there. But obviously this song is up to a lot of interpretation. But it was very short, which makes me think it's like, yeah, you don't like, there's no like motivation behind like the title, rather than like asking someone to go swimming. But that's just an offshoot thought.
Yeah, that's true. It's really hard to kind of make out what he's trying to like say or allude to with like even his titles and stuff. I feel like a lot of it is like addressed to a second person, like a lot, like Let's Go Swimming, and I'm not gonna find them right now, but you're right, like it's impossible to make out what he says. I looked up the lyrics for the first time today because I was like, this may be important to talk about. And it is like, he kind of brings up swimming. It starts to the north part of that country I'm swimming to, because where you've been, I go. That's where you always go. I'm banging on your door. That part I did
hear that.
Yeah. Up in the big blue sky. And then he just says, when you let the water in, over and over again. And then I'm on the sand that's hot. Oh yeah, I'm on the dot. I'm on the sand that's here. But that's like really hard to make out. But he definitely, I feel like I get water vibes from all his songs.
I was gonna say, it feels like he's sort of drowning. Or not drowning, but like you're underwater. It's either you're underwater and you're hearing people like above water talking, or the opposite. I don't know. Like, it's just difficult to make out. But I think it works like narratively really well with the title, which I love.
You called his voice very charming. Do you have more words on that?
Well, I feel like it's, I don't know how much of it is, I feel like it's definitely like mixed like in a unique way, right? Like there's no way that's just like how he sounds, because it's also like, I feel like particularly like loud, and there's this really resonant like kind of like single sound that kind of takes over every time he speaks.
It's like a drone.
Yes, it sounds like a really short drone, and I really like that. It makes his like sound be way more like an instrument than like him like necessarily being like saying things, but it's still like so emotionally like resonant, which I really like. It's also, I think, just like his vibe, as he said, like I don't know if we said that on air, but he, like all his covers, he looks like kind of like a country boy.
It's so true.
Yeah, but he was also, I don't know, he gives like very sensitive soul, and the fact that he's a cellist but just wanted to make like weird music in New York, and that he was so into dance music as well, and it's just all very tender and like not aggressive music, but still like super weird and like super touching.
You're so right. It's like not aggressive, even though like the intro to the song felt very aggressive, you know?
Yeah.
But you're right. It's very sensitive. It's very like, we've used this word to describe him before, but like raw.
Yeah. No, we literally had an entire. No, this is we had our fake show.
We had our fake show in Snitchcock.
Where we practiced. This was like our pre-show, and I was like, oh, we should do an Arthur Russell song. So we were just like talking to ourselves, amongst ourselves. And I feel like we touched on a lot of similar things, but I think this song is even more removed, or like, I don't know, the tempo is really odd, and it kind of, like, you know that there's something a little off, but that off-puttingness, I don't know, makes you pay more attention. I also wonder, I mean, we only have 3 more minutes, like, have you been listening to Arthur Russell for a long time, and why does this song capture your attention, and why did you come back to it?
I think I have since my first year, probably, so a couple of years ago. I don't remember if it was my dad who showed me, or maybe Roland showed me a few of his songs. I knew the ones Kanye samples, like, from way before that, but whatever. It was like 2 years ago, and I feel like I didn't get so into the song, or even the whole record. I thought, okay, like, this is really weird, like, I don't know. But I kept coming back to it, and to some songs, and it always, like, changes. The first song I got really into is called Being It, and it's one of, like, his most, like, shoegazy, abrasive songs. I mean, that one's really still, like, not aggressive, but like, his cello sound is like,
It's very
harsh.
Sharp.
Yeah. Like, definitely harsher than a cello, like, sounds in, like, traditional music that has cello. But he made, like, it's just so different to what, like, extreme music or abrasive raw music normally sounds like, and the vibe it goes for. Like, it's not, like, fast, and it doesn't have any kind of, like driving pulse that's easily noticeable, like, as you said. Like, I kind of couldn't really kind of even, like, follow the pulse of this song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing I notice is how, like, the contrast between how, like, sharp the notes are, like, I don't know, it feels like someone's, like, just, like, swiping at an instrument, and then how soft his voice is. I really like the way that those two kind of work together.
Yeah, it's interesting that we're, like, not following a beat when listening to the song. You're kind of just listening to listen. Swipes of instruments. That's so interesting.
Ria's handwriting is getting tinier and tinier on the page, because the
I don't want
page,
to spill out onto another page.
unfortunately, you
notes.
guys don't have a view. Once we get a camera in the studio, you'll get to see Ria's
My
beautiful,
God.
wonderful note-taking skills
Yeah.
that really drive our conversation, honestly. No, they do. Like, literally, they do. But it's, wow. No, we've never written this much.
I've never,
Like,
no, seriously. Like, maybe I'm writing neater. I'm not.
I'm so glad.
Yay. Wait. I need, like, some...
we'll send these to you.
Please,
If you want.
No, I would actually love it. Yeah,
Oh,
we're in
oh
time.
no. Okay, well,
But-
no one's here, but if you
Yeah.
have anything else to say about the song,
Or things that you want to say on air.
anything you want to...
Oh, hi, Dad. Julio. Gracias por escuchar. What else? Yeah, Arthur Russell. He's cool. Definitely really sad music. I feel, I don't know, his lyrics are hard to make out as, like, sad.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are kind of tender and sweet, like, it's a wild combination.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I listened to more of his... I don't remember what album it is, but I feel like I started listening to him, or most of the stuff I listened to is more of the folky stuff, like, purely... I don't... Oh, my God. I wish I... Do you know...
Oh my God. Guys, my therapist is calling me. I have to...
Okay, well, we can wrap up if you...
Wait, shit!
Wait, what? Oh, I didn't know you had it right at 3. Okay. Well, anyways, I don't know what... let me... Wait. Oh, Love Is Overtaking Me. Do you know that album?
Oh, yeah.
This one.
Yes.
That's the one that I listen to a lot. I don't really... And it's, like, super long.
Is that the one with... Wait, can you see the songs in there?
Yeah, it's, like, a ton of... It's like
Yeah, that's a lot of
20,
songs.
yeah, 21 album,
But-
21 song album.
He even has... Yeah, he has, like, his cowboy hat on. And
Yeah.
he also has this album called Iowa Dream, right? Is that him?
I don't know. I need to listen to more. Oh, I Would Dream, yeah.
Yeah, which is funny. It's very, like, Country Gazette.
I saw this at, I actually, you know the record store across from, like, Thalia Hall in Pilsen. I don't know.
Yes.
I found it there, and I like almost
did you
bought
get
it,
it?
and then I didn't, and now I'm like live in regret. But like, I guess I'll just find it another time. But yeah,
Yeah, he's so good.
no,
Yeah.
love him. But I need to listen to more of like his techno ambient
Yeah.
sounds. I just love the way he uses cello. I think it's so clever.
It's lovely, yeah.
and then
it's
it
so cool.
it almost sounds electronic. I don't know.
It's very in the kind of like union of everything that I like.
Yeah.
Like folk and ambient. And
No, because I was gonna mention him at the beginning. I was like, oh, like if we're thinking about what mixes like folk
Oh,
and
yeah.
ambient, I was like Arthur Russell.
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
poor
thank you so
guy.
much for having me.
Of course. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Tune in again. Oh, actually, don't tune in next week because no one is going to be on the air. But tune in if we have the same schedule next 2 Thursdays from now. I don't know what day that is in March, but if you're a loyal listener,
21?
21st.
Maybe.
You can do math. I don't know. Thank you so much for tuning in, anyone who's listening. Thank you, Pedro, again. We really appreciate
you.
it. This was lovely. Ria would be saying something, but she is in therapy, apparently. Okay. I wish we could play a song. Actually, her computer was taken. Usually we play a song to, like, play it out, but, like,
Oh,
whatever.
no.
We'll just play the beautiful Mega Seg song. Thank you.